I'm Eric Anderson. Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, a decision on whether to restart the San Onofre nuclear plant may be a long time coming. Is it religion or just physical education? A judge hears the debate over yoga classes in Encinitas schools.
More than 90 scientific papers agree climate change is happening and it's man-made. So why is the public still divided? I'm Amitha Sharma. A look at what's driving the public debate. And one specific consequence of climate change turns out to be the rise of the giant jellyfish. We'll find out why beautiful yet deadly jellyfish are changing the evolution of our oceans.
And we'll meet the two candidates running for San Diego's 4th City Council District. KPBS Evening Edition starts now.
KPBS Evening Edition is made possible by Joan and Erwin Jacobs and by
Good evening and thanks for joining us. Dwayne Brown is off tonight. Rescuers in Oklahoma are searching through the rubble left behind by a massive tornado. The mile-wide twister touched down outside Oklahoma City with wind speeds estimated at 200 miles per hour. At least 10 people were killed. The Weather Service says the tornado was an EF4 on the 6th-level Fujita scale. In 1999, the same community was hit by a stronger tornado, an EF5. Several states have been under tornado warnings since the weekend. Federal regulators have indefinitely delayed a decision on restarting the San Onofre nuclear plant. The decision by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission has already been pushed back a few times, but now the agency's website says the only date is to be determined. Edison International has said it might shut down San Onofre for good if it can't get one reactor running this year. The plant has been offline for 16 months because of tube problems in its steam generators. The debate over yoga classes in public schools went before a San Diego County judge today. Two parents are suing the Encinitas Union School District over the classes. The suit says Ashtanga yoga is a form of religion teaching Hinduism. The district says the religious aspects have been stripped from those classes and they're just another form of physical education. Workers at UC San Diego Medical Center plan to walk off the job at 4 in the morning tomorrow, the start of a system-wide 2-day strike to protest stalled contract talks. UC officials did get a restraining order to keep some employees on the job so vital services won't be disrupted. About 13,000 workers are expected to strike at 5 UC medical centers. The multi-million-dollar effort to overhaul San Diego's North Embarcadero took another step forward today. The groundbreaking begins a year-long effort to more than double the width of the walkway between the Navy Pier and B Street Pier. San Diego Mayor Bob Filner says the project will change the face of the waterfront.
This has not been a front porch. Let's agree to that. But what we're going to have here is at last a true front porch.
The Embarcadero project was fought over for years as some activists worked to preserve public access to the waterfront. Filner says the result is a fitting legacy to that battle.
We did get something that everybody, the port, the city, and our visitors will be proud of. It'll be a place to relax, a place to create, a place to walk and bike, a place to visit with friends.
The Broadway Pier has already been renovated as a welcoming center for cruise ship passengers. Now San Diego's front porch is in line for a similar renovation.
Right now, this is not the prettiest of improvements, but it's very significant because now that we've moved Harbor Drive over, we can start installing the really nice-looking improvements like decorative paving, jacaranda trees, those purple trees, date palms, beautiful benches for people to sit on.
The port's Tanya Castaneda says it'll be a year before the nearly $29 million project is complete. It's just one piece in a mosaic of improvements designed to make the area more people-friendly.
So this is an area that needs to be very, very special, kept up nicely, beautiful, stunning even. So what we're going to do is really make it that front porch with these improvements and make it much more of a welcoming destination.
Other upgrades include hotels and parking structures at the Old Lane Field site, a mixed-use development near Grape Street, and a park on the Navy Pier. Public opinion on climate change may still be divided, but a new survey finds that climate experts do agree humans are the cause. Amitha Sharma has a look at the gap between what scientists have learned and what the public believes.
Scorching heat, intense wildfires, melting glaciers, and rising sea levels over the last year have done little to budge public opinion on climate change. In fact, according to Yale University's survey last month, the percentage of people who believe in global warming fell 7 points to 63% in the previous 6 months. Compare that to a recent poll of scientists which found that 97% agreed man-made climate change is real. That finding is similar to what UC San Diego history and science studies professor Naomi Oreskes discovered nearly a decade ago. She joins me now. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Amitha. It's nice to be here.
And so this survey confirms what you found 10 years ago. Yet there are still a lot of people who believe that there is no consensus or little consensus among scientists who believe that climate change is human-driven. Why is that?
Well, the main reason is because there's been a concentrated and concerted effort in the United States to persuade us that there isn't a consensus. So really for almost 20 years now, there have been organized campaigns in the United States telling the American people, telling journalists that the science isn't settled, that we don't really know, and therefore it would be too soon to do something about it. And that work is the work that I tracked in my book with Eric Conway, Merchants of Doubt, in which we showed who these people were and why they were doing it and the effect that it's had on the American people.
But hasn't there been some debate among scientists on global warming?
Well, sure, there's been tons of debate among scientists because anytime science is a live issue, there's always debate, but the debate is not about the fact of climate change. The broad picture of global warming driven primarily by greenhouse gases and deforestation, has been stable for almost 20 years, about 15 to 18 years. Now, within that broad picture, there are a lot of details about exactly how much heat is taken up by the ocean, arguments about how rapidly climate change will happen in the future, but the broad picture, the reality of climate change, the reality of the role of greenhouse gases, that is not under debate and hasn't been for a long time.
So the oil, gas, and coal industry has spent a lot of money on confusing the issue of global change or global warming for Americans. So you have this gap between the facts and what Americans' beliefs are on this topic. How do you close this gap?
Well, that's a very good question, and of course people like you are part of the answer. One of the things that we know from our research is that a large part of the campaign to confuse the American people about this issue, as previously in a similar campaign related to tobacco, was to persuade journalists to give a balanced approach to the issue and to give equal time to, yes, there is climate change, no, there isn't. Yes, tobacco is harmful, no, there isn't. And many journalists have fallen into this trap because it appeals to your sense of journalistic integrity and objectivity and fairness. But the problem is that it's not accurate. It doesn't give the American people an accurate reflection of what the scientific evidence really tells us. So just as we know today that the evidence is overwhelming that tobacco smoking is deeply, deeply harmful and causes many different diseases, not just lung cancer and heart disease, so we know that climate change is underway and it's mostly driven by human activities. But because it's been often presented in this sort of he said, she said approach, most ordinary people who aren't following the science or aren't doing the science think that there's still a large scientific debate.
Now, the fossil fuel industry plans to continue to develop its reserves. So greenhouse gas emissions aren't going away. The only thing that can rein this in are government policies, and yet political will seems to be lacking. How does this get turned around?
Well, I think it's important to point out that there is political will here in California. And one of the bright spots in this story actually are the things that are happening here in California right now. So we have AB 32, which came into effect this year. It was supported by a bipartisan coalition led initially by Fran Pavley in the legislature and Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's being continued by Governor Brown. So we have seen political leadership in California. We have seen bipartisan support. And we have seen increasingly the business community recognizing that there are economic opportunities in 21st century fuels.
That's right. ExxonMobil supports a carbon tax.
Well, that's right, which is a very interesting move, right? And, you know, I always like to say coal is a 19th century energy supply, oil and gas are 20th century, and we really need to move into the 21st century. And we're starting to do that here in California, but we've only just taken the first little baby steps.
Very quickly, do you think that there are members of Congress who privately believe that global warming is real but publicly won't say anything?
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's become very difficult. We saw that in the last campaign when Mitt Romney did say that he accepted the scientific evidence of climate change caused by people, and he was immediately attacked by all the other Republicans who were running against him. So there's tremendous pressure in the Republican Party not to speak about this issue, not to acknowledge the scientific evidence. But I believe that many Republican leaders know the truth about this issue, and I believe they're waiting for the right moment. They're waiting for a Nixon goes to China moment, and I'm looking forward to seeing it.
And we've got to wrap it there. Professor Ruskus, thanks for coming in.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being on the show.
The late Sally Ride is going to be honored with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. The White House says it's posthumously honoring the first American woman in space for her contributions to the space program and to education. The president called her a role model for generations of young women. Ride died of cancer in La Jolla last summer. Tomorrow, voters in San Diego's District 4 choose a new city council member. Tonight, KPBS reporter Claire Tregeser profiles the two candidates vying for the job, starting with Dwayne Crenshaw, who touts his long history of living in and working for his district.
Dwayne Crenshaw literally owns a piece of Market Creek Plaza. He helped community members buy small financial shares in the shopping and community center when it opened more than 10 years ago.
And the coolest thing about Market Creek Plaza, there's a lot of cool things about Market Creek Plaza, is that myself and many other members of the community actually own a piece of it.
Crenshaw also owns a share and worked for the Jacobs Center Foundation that developed Market Creek. The project promotes local businesses and brought one of the only grocery stores to Council District 4. Now, Crenshaw is hoping to help his community in another way. He's running to represent them on the city council. The 42-year-old says community involvement has always been part of his life.
In our garage, my dad had a copying machine, and we were the neighborhood Kinkos, so to speak, and so I heard a lot of talk about community issues and what we needed to be involved in, and so for me, it was just, I'm helping out. I didn't really think that it was anything grand or special, just did what my family did.
Crenshaw attended Patrick Henry High School and later became class president at San Diego State.
I was somewhat popular in high school. I was best personality in the yearbook and got out to San Diego State with 35,000 other students and didn't know anyone. And I didn't like that. So I'm like, I got to do something to meet people and get engaged. And so I ran for student government.
Crenshaw has run for city council 2 times before. In his second attempt in 2004, a letter in the newspaper outed him as a gay man.
Unfortunately, at that time in my life, I wasn't prepared for that type of scrutiny. I hadn't spoken with my own family about the issue, so it affected the campaign and affected my enthusiasm a great deal.
This election, a newspaper editorial again criticized Crenshaw for being gay. But Crenshaw, who works as director of San Diego's Lesbian and Gay Pride Group, says he isn't worried about it.
But it's 9 years later. This is an entirely different world, country, world, and in this council district. And so that's no longer an issue as far as I'm concerned.
But that may not be completely true. Barry Pollard lost in the District 4 primary. He and a group of other candidates decided to endorse Crenshaw or his opponent, Myrtle Cole.
When we were going through looking at the skills and qualifications of each candidate, certainly his lifestyle came up as an issue. That is a hot topic over in our district. I think it is diminishing in its volatility, but that did come up.
They ultimately decided Crenshaw's track of getting things done matters more. They decided to endorse him. Crenshaw says he has more experience living and working in the district than his opponent. He also cites Myrtle Cole's heavy support from labor and says he'd be an independent vote.
I find myself in a unique position in this campaign as being truly unbeholden to any large group. I like to call it, I have my own Declaration of Independence, so to speak.
If elected, Crenshaw has lots of goals for his district, including building 2 more grocery stores, creating 100 youth jobs, and installing new sidewalks and streetlights. To pay for all of this, he suggests District 4 should get a bigger chunk of the city's budget.
If we want to be equitable, we probably need to give a little bit more dollars to expand library hours in those communities that have fewer opportunities for their families and young people to access them, or there's less private recreational facilities.
This may be a hard sell with the rest of the city council, but if he's elected, Crenshaw says his enthusiasm would help him get things done. And he says his history of projects like Market Creek Plaza help back that up. Claire Tregesser, KPBS News.
The other District 4 candidate is Myrtle Cole, who has strong backing from a big group of political leaders, including Mayor Bob Filner and Congressman Juan Vargas. Once again, KPBS reporter Claire Tregesser.
Myrtle Cole is in her element. Although often described as shy and soft-spoken, Cole comes alive when surrounded by her supporters.
I thank you. You could have been any place today, any place, but you chose to be here to walk with me. I thank you.
The 63-year-old former police officer grew up in Arizona and says she moved to San Diego for the weather. She has a long history in San Diego politics, working for former city council members Charles Lewis and Tony Young. But this is her first time in the political spotlight. Cole is running to replace Young in City Council District 4.
Again, thank you for your support in the primary. Thank you for your vote.
On one of the last weekends before the election, Cole walked through neighborhoods of the southeastern San Diego district, knocking on doors and asking for votes.
Peggy Ming, Myrtle Cole, the candidate for Council District 4.
Here we got to elect Myrtle Cole to the San Diego City Council.
She touts her support from a variety of political leaders, including Congressman Vargas.
On to victory, on to victory.
Thank you, thank you.
She's been in this community for a long time. I've known her for 20 years, and she has a lot of integrity. I mean, she's always worked for this community. She's always worked hard.
But some of Cole's support has earned her criticism. She currently works for the union United Domestic Workers and receives heavy financial backing from labor. Cole says she's proud of her job supporting home care providers and welcomes her association with labor.
You know what labor is? It's working families. I am so proud to have the endorsement and support of working families, like the home care providers, like nurses, teachers, firefighters, police officers. If that's special interest, I love it. Thank you so very much for that.
Cole's opponent, Dwayne Crenshaw, took a break from his job during the campaign. But Cole continues to work at United Domestic Workers 3 days a week, which cuts back her campaign time.
Well, I ran out of vacation because this, and all that, so I had to go back because I have to make a living. I cannot campaign in my car.
Cole has a diverse work history and says she's proud of everything she's done.
I've done quite a bit. I have my MBA because I want businesses not only to thrive, but really thrive here in San Diego. So I've done a lot that people pointed out that I didn't realize.
Now she has big plans for District 4. She wants to bring back neighborhood watch programs, work on filling potholes, and attract more grocery stores and sit-down restaurants.
You first up would be repair this streets.
The streets.
To make this happen, she plans to work with Civic San Diego on new redevelopment plans.
We've been neglected for far too long. So the money will come.
We got you covered. Thank you.
Got you covered.
If she wins, Cole hopes her enthusiasm will bring new life to her district. But first, that same enthusiasm has to carry her to Election Day.
I need your vote on May the 21st.
All right, so you can expect it.
Thank you. People, they want me to win. I'll be the first woman on Council District 4, the first woman, and the first woman of color on the council floor. This is the century of a woman, and I'm so glad to be a woman.
I'm going to look forward to seeing you do well.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I will.
Claire Tregesser, KPBS News.
I'm Jeffrey Brown. On the next news hour, the debate over how psychiatry should diagnose and classify a mental illness. That's Monday on the PBS NewsHour.
A few minutes ago, we looked at the huge difference between public and scientific opinions about climate change. Now, Amitha Sharma gives us a look at one impact right along our coast.
On one Sunday alone last summer, more than 130 people were stung by jellyfish at San Diego beaches. Encounters with the slimy creatures are likely to increase because, as marine biologist Lisa Ann Gershwin explains in her new book, Stung, jellyfish are taking over the ocean, leaving a trail of destruction she compares to an angel of death. She joins me now. How dramatic is the evidence that jellyfish blooms are getting bigger?
Well, it's really interesting because many places around the world that are disturbed by overfishing or warming water or pollution or whatever, we're seeing shifts away from fish and towards jellyfish blooms, and we're seeing fantastic evidence of these jellyfish blooms in these environments. For instance, there was a week this summer in Australia where over 8,000 people were treated for stings, where normally maybe only 1,000 people would be treated in an entire summertime. So, you know, we're seeing these sorts of things, and that alone isn't the evidence, but it's a component. And we're seeing a lot of these cases around the world where jellyfish are getting sucked into nuclear power plant intakes and desalination plants and ships. More havoc than we've ever seen in the past, and more places where habitats that used to be good fisheries areas are actually flipping to being dominated by jellyfish and much fewer fish.
Why are jellyfish thriving at a time when the ocean's health is so poor because of acidification, pollution, global warming, overfishing?
But that's exactly the point. They're the last man standing. When the fish can't get enough oxygen to survive because of the hypoxia or low oxygen, or the toxins are wreaking their havoc on the fish populations, or the plastics being ingested by the birds, or the warming waters making it difficult for polar bears and penguins and whoever to find food. All of these things are happening, and they're stressing these ecosystems. And the jellyfish are often the inheritor of these damaged ecosystems, and in some cases they're actually the driver of even more damage. So that's the whole point. Jellyfish are kind of immune to these stressors, and in some cases they actually are stimulated by these stressors.
Well, let's talk about that. What effect is the jellyfish population boom having on the ocean's already fragile ecosystem, on other fish?
Well, jellyfish do this incredible thing, which we call the jellyfish double whammy, where jellyfish actually fish up the food chain. So they're kind of at the bottom of the food chain. They're sort of primitive organisms. But unlike the normal food chain we think of, where big things eat little things, and fast things eat slow things, and smart things eat dumb things, jellyfish actually eat the eggs and larvae of species smarter, bigger, faster than themselves, and they also eat the plankton that those larvae would eat. So this double whammy of predation and competition is very, very good at wiping out ecosystems quite quickly.
We are looking at jellyfish off the coast of Point Loma, the black sea nettle, which is really
very
native to
near
this
and
area.
dear to my heart.
We are newcomers to the planet compared to jellyfish. How long have they been around?
About 600 million years, possibly longer. And the thing is, they've been around through all these changes that have happened. You know, the extinctions and the evolutionary events where other things have grown wings and learned to fly and developed lungs and walked onto land, and dinosaurs gone extinct along with thousands and thousands and thousands of other species that have also not been able to survive these radical changes through time. But jellyfish have survived all these changes just as they are. They don't need to change, and they haven't gone extinct because they're perfectly adapted to just about anything. They're kind of the ultimate survivors, and they are winning in this race right now that all these stressors that we're doing to our ecosystems, they're winning.
Very quickly, what can be done to control their numbers, or is it too late?
Look, it's hard to say. I believe we've passed a tipping point. I believe that now it's more a matter of slowing it down before we get to a really crummy place where we don't like our oceans at all.
Lisa Ann Gershwin, thanks for coming on the program.
Pleasure.
Tomorrow is going to be another warm day, but look for things to cool down as the week goes on. Temperatures in the upper 60s along the coast. For the inland valleys, 80s tomorrow, then down into the 70s. It'll be in the 70s in the mountains too, with some clouds later in the week. The desert will see triple-digit temperatures until Thursday, when it's expected to cool down into the mid-90s. Navy-trained dolphins have discovered a rare torpedo off San Diego's coast. KPBS reporter Susan Murphy has that story.
Two of the Navy's veteran bottlenose dolphins were on a routine mine-hunting training mission off the coast of Coronado in early March when they found the rare 130-year-old Howell torpedo. Chris Harris is operations supervisor for the Space and Navy Warfare Systems Marine Mammal Program.
When there's an object of interest discovered, the dolphin comes over and touches the side of the boat in a manner that indicates a positive contact or a negative contact. In this case, the dolphins came over, indicated to the handlers on board the boat, "We found something. This is interesting. You're going to want to check this out."
Harris says the recovery dive team brought the torpedo to the surface and everyone was very surprised. That's because the Howell torpedo was developed by the Navy in the late 1800s and used by battleships until 1898. It was the first torpedo that could be released into the ocean and follow a track. Only 50 were ever manufactured and just one other has been recovered. Harris says the two dolphins, named Ten and Spets, are veterans with superb biological sonar who can detect mines on the seafloor better than any technology.
They continue to be on standby, ready to go out and perform these tasks for the Navy whenever they're asked.
The Howell torpedo will be shipped to the Naval History and Heritage Command at the Washington Navy Yard. Susan Murphy, KPBS News.
Tonight's stories are online at kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks very much for joining us. Have yourself a great evening.